Morning, guys. It is January 16th, 2017. Wow. Time is a flying, isn't it? Um, so I thought today I would pick up where I left off on the is Gaia the gatekeeper to our ascension videos that I thought that I would expand upon. And last night, while my husband was watching the playoff football games, I got this call to go into my sauna. And yeah, I have a sauna inside my walk-in closet. And I'm half Finn and I grew up in a sauna, but I think the coolest thing about the sauna is that is where I just get all my information. It's the same thing as the Native Americans when they do their sweat lodges. They're in the womb of Mother Earth. And, they have the drum beat, it's the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And, be careful what you bring in there because, you will have to deal with it inside the sweat lodge, which I have done quite a few sweat lodges on my journey with some Cherokee medicine people that are friends of mine. And when I started my journey, we did so many sweat lodges, and they were always really, really cool, very insightful. But when you go in, the Native Americans say that the, the intense heat, the heat waves, the frequency of the heat wave is what helps you to go further into an altered state. And so this is what I do when I go into my infrared heat sauna in my walk-in closet. One of these days, I'll talk my husband into building me a real outdoor sauna, somewhere I can throw water around. And then I listen to, but my sauna has a radio, so I get to listen to Lorena McKenna while I'm in there, and I turn her way down, and she just takes me away, she just gets my mind cleared, and, that's the main thing is when you're in an altered state, because everything else goes away, that chatter, that mindless chatter just suddenly stops. And so I'm sitting in the sauna last night, and, Gaia's just been on my mind. She's always on my mind, as as a witch, whatever you want to call it, shaman, someone who's goddess worshiper. We're always thinking about Gaia because we're connected to her. And I sat and I was thinking more, and it's like, is there anything, any information that you want to give me, on what I've been thinking about, this consciousness level, everybody's consciousness is rising. And what she suddenly started telling me was that the reason the collective consciousness is changing, the humanity's consciousness is changing, is because her consciousness is changing. Which I was just like, oh, yes, that totally makes sense. So, because we forget, she is a sentient being, just like us. She's learning and evolving just like us. Like I said before, she is not a god. She is not source. She is playing the same game that we are. And we hear it all the time. When Gaia raises her consciousness level and we do, it affects all the other planets. And so when she said that her consciousness level is changing and evolving, and because her frequency is so much larger than the collective frequency of humanity, it is causing humanity's consciousness to rise through her. We hear it all the time. We're taking the ride with Gaia. We're going to go into the new world with Gaia. We're evolving with Gaia. Well, it makes total sense. She is in charge, and yeah, we have a choice. So as long as she's growing and we are with her, we are growing too. And yeah, I guess there's some people that are slow learners, but that's okay. we have a lot of very young souls that are coming here, and we have a lot of very old souls that are very smart, who have been a little bit ahead of us in trying to suppress what's going on with Gaia, and we're slowly finding out that they're losing the race. Gaia has finally said enough of this. And so I just thought, that was very, very insightful for me anyways. I hope it kind of helps trigger something with you when you're wondering and wanting to commune with Gaia. So I wanted to touch on certain ways of how do you commune with Gaia. And when people are first thinking, they think that they're communing with the planet herself. And when you think of the planet herself, it is everything: the trees, the rocks, the water, our sacred water, the animals, the insects, the flowers, everything that is on her and within her and that makes up who she is. That is what I mean about communing with Gaia. And so I just wanted to give you a few stories about how I started communing. And I have a ton of stories. And today, I just wanted to start with the insects. And but before I go into the insects, I just want to also remind you that those who have been teaching us through lifetime after next that humanity is the supreme being, that is something contrived from the darkness, from the dark ones who are trying to control us. It is nothing but separation. We hear it all the time. Duality, we hear it all the time. And, we all have been focusing on separation and duality from Source. But we are here on Gaia, and our journey right now is with Gaia. And so when they taught us and programmed us to think that humanity is a supreme being, that was to keep us separated from Gaia, to keep us from communing and living harmoniously with her in all of her natural realms. I mean, look around. Look at what we've done to this planet. And, she let it happen for all these years because she herself was growing and she herself was learning, and she was also going, well, at this point in time, I can see where this would need to be done. We have to live on the animals. We have to live on the plants. We have to cultivate the earth. But in the meantime, we've lost connection. We no longer, so many kids don't even know that meat comes from animals grown on a farm. They think that it was just manufactured in a grocery store. That is just so sad. And that's the fault of parents who have lost their way. So anyways, how do we connect with Gaia and all of her natural realms? The first thing is believing that you can do it. Stop looking to the outside. Stop looking outside of yourself for the answers. Looking to the outside of yourself is more dark propaganda. We have to look to the guru. We have to look to this person here, and we got to pay this person all this money to do. Stop that. That is darkness propaganda. So first up, you have to change your mind, your belief system, and you have to believe that, oh my gosh, I am part of Gaia. And science says, we are one of her cells. Isn't that bizarre? We are one of Gaia's cells. So we are part of Gaia, and Gaia is part of us. And that goes back to how many lifetimes we lived. Have you ever thought of how many times you died and your bones and your flesh became part of her soil? You know, I mean, it's just so wild. So, okay, so believing that you can in the first place, that is the main ingredient. And then paying attention to the flowers, that when you're taking a hike, and paying attention to the flowers and the colors and the smells and the trees, paying attention to how the earth smells after it rains, paying attention to the rain itself. What does it say to you? How does it feel when it rains? Paying attention to the elk that is walking across the field, paying attention to the raven that flew across your car as you're driving down the road. What direction was that raven flying? Did he look at you? My husband, a funny story, it wasn't a raven, it was a hawk. He was driving down the road one day, and hawk dropped his prairie dog right on the top of his truck. You know, so if that wasn't a hello, wake up, what is, you know? So pay attention. Every color that exposes us to yourself has a meaning. Every sound has a meaning. Every direction has a meaning. The symbology. Okay, say you see a raven. How many ravens were there? Were there 3 ravens? Were there 7 ravens? Numerology is magic. All of this has meaning. So take a notebook, keep a notebook with you, and every time you notice something, write it down. And then later on, just start looking up the meanings of the direction, meaning of the number, meaning of the color. You know, just keep a journal. And the more you do this, the more you will condition yourself to see what nature, Gaia, is trying to tell you. So look for opportunities. Look for all kinds of different opportunities serving Gaia. Gaia, how can I help you today? What can I do to serve you today? Oh, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to throw some dried breadcrumbs for the ravens, or I'm going to throw a couple carrots out. I notice I have a few bunnies out there and it's been cold. Maybe an apple for them. I'm going to make sure that I keep my bird feeder full. And I'm going to look at my horse as something other than a motorcycle or a bicycle with a horse suit wrapped around it. We have to look at nature, all of nature, especially our animals, as sentient beings, because sentient just means a being that has self-awareness and that will do whatever it possibly can do to live and stay alive and survive. Isn't that what we're all doing? So do all of our animals, our birds, our fish. They all want the same things that we want. And so once we realize that, and once we start looking at these natural realms as sentient beings that all want to live and grow and learn and thrive and survive, we start to change and we start to imbue the essence of Gaia within us. And we see it more and more. So when you're out there and you're trying to communicate, it's listening to those subtle, tiny little messages, just the subtle, tiniest messages, and write those down, because the tiny ones start to grow into the bigger ones. And even if you go, oh, this must be crazy, I thought I heard this, don't ever second guess yourself. Believe what you get, believe what you hear, as long as it stands in the light. So, you start with the subtle messages. So those are a few of ways of communing with Gaia. And when you start noticing, it's as simple as looking at the rainbow or the color of a field overgrown with wildflowers, and you verbally say, how beautiful you are. And I am so grateful that I get to view this. And I'm so grateful that I live here and I live upon your earth, and I get to experience all this. And the more you acknowledge the beauty, the more beautiful it will become. And so that's a very, very important point, tip, you know, acknowledge the beauty, acknowledge the sweet tasting water. Go out and throw a crystal, bless the crystal, and throw it in the river that goes through your backyard. You know, acknowledge the sacredness of the water and be grateful and respectful. We have to be grateful and we have to have respect. And if you're truly on this path, it will become easy. It'll just be, it'll all make sense. So, in paying close attention, I want to give you a few of my encounters with the insect realm. And, you know, I look at everything as having a reason. And, you know, one of my Native American friends is really funny because, you know, she will catch spiders in her house. She'll pick them up and throw them outside. You know, one day she got bit by one. You know, I don't know if I go that far. I don't like spiders. They freak me out. And I do try to catch them in a napkin or something and throw them out the door, but they usually end up coming right back in the house because they know how they got in there in the first place. But okay, so bees and hornets. I got some really cool hornet and bee stories. And we here in Colorado for a few years we're going through a really nasty drought, and I noticed it was really, really dry. We were not getting any rain. And I noticed the horse water tank was just, the bees and the hornets were dying in the water tank. And I was just like, oh, this is horrible, just horrible. So I got a little rubber container and I put it next to the water tank, and I put some rocks and some floating sticks, and I filled it with water. And this way they could come in and they could crawl in the sticks and crawl in the floating little piece of wood and drink the water without drowning. Now I know everybody's going, hornets. I know, but you know, hornets do get the flies. They do capture flies. And so I thought, well, I'll help the hornets out, but I didn't realize that hornets will attack beehives. Is that true? Can somebody validate validate that? I heard that somewhere. So I don't know, but I just thought, you know, it wasn't up to me to get involved into that. And the hornets and the bees were getting along quite well at the watering hole. And so a couple days later, I had a woman come over who does the Dolores Cannon quantum hypnosis therapy. And she was going to do that, take me way back during this therapy. And she ended up staying the night. We just had so much fun. She ended up staying the night, and the next morning we're standing out on my front deck. And all of a sudden, here come all these bees. And she's like, oh gosh, bees, where do they come from? They're flying all over the place. And I was like, they're telling me they're thirsty. And she just looked at me like, what are you talking about? And I said, come on, come on. So we walked down to the barn, and sure enough, their little rubber dish was empty. And they were all crawling around the dish like, hey. And I filled the dish up for them. And then they were all happy, and they left us alone. And she was like, I cannot believe I just saw this. I said, I believe that, you know, I believe that I can hear them, and I believe, and I let them know that they can come and talk to me and it'll be okay. So once they had that first encounter with me, ever since then it was like, hey, there she is, you know. So the next year, my bee balm had grown up, and the reason I grow bee balm is because of the bees. And we know the bees need all the help we can give them. And I just love bees. And as soon as I settle down, I am going to have beehives. God, bees do not scare me. And so my bee balm had grown, and the flowers were just gorgeous. And all of a sudden, here come all the bumblebees. And my bee balm was full of the bumblebees, and they are so cool. So this was late. This was getting to be late summer, and the nights were starting to cool down. And you know, the bumblebees and everything, I don't know if they start dying or if they get sick or if they slow down just because of the temperature. Maybe they just slow down. Well, I went out that in the morning, and I was going to cut some of the flowers and to make some candles with the flowers of the bee balm. And I was looking at the bumblebees and I was letting them know what I was going to do. And I asked the bee balm if it was okay if I could cut some of the flowers. Yeah, you can. That's cool. Okay. And I noticed one bumblebee fell off the flower, fell on the ground. And so I bent over with my scissors and I was going to pick the bumblebee up with the scissors, let him crawl on the scissors. And when I went to pick him up, he actually rolled over on his side and went like that, like, don't, please don't. And it just hit me in my heart. It was like, here you go, a perfect example, people. A bumblebee. He does not want me to kill him. And he's, don't, please don't. And so I just told him, I said, I'm just going to help you. And in my mind, I showed him pictures of me just picking them up and putting them on the flower. See, they see in pictures, and that's a good way of communicating. Verbal, but pictures, if you can send them pictures, that really, really helps. And he crawled right up on that pair of scissors, and I picked him up and put him on the bee balm plant. And that one just stuck with me for a long time. I mean, watching him, I could, being an empath, I just felt his fear, and he was just like, this is it, I'm done. This human, this giant is just going to take me out. And so that stuck with me for a very, very long time. And so the bees, back to the bees, the honeybees, we had a swarm. And right off my back deck, I had the hummingbird feeder, and they would swarm the hummingbird feeder and the poor hummers. I mean, it was like rush hour traffic. The bees and the hummers trying to get in and get a drink, and it was just chaos. And I knew that they were thirsty, and I just down below the water, the bird feeder, hummingbird feeder, was my big black plastic pool, I guess you could say. I had set in the rocks and everything. I had rocks in it because the birds would drink out of it all the time. And so I thought, okay, yeah, I need to fill that up a little bit further. And it was funny because that pool was just loaded with bees, and they were looking for water. And I had neglected it. It was so dry. It would just empty so fast. So got the hose, and I knew that there were so many of that, filling that up, that some were going to drown. And I'm like, okay, you guys, I mean, the bees are just swarming all over me. And they're like, what, don't wear black because they think you're a bear and they're afraid of black. And I had black on, and it was just like, hey guys, I'm here to help you. And they didn't bother me. They were just, I think they were happy. And so I'm filling up the pool with water, and I'm trying to do it as slowly as I can so they can move away as the water level is rising. And a few I had to kind of help out of the water and put them on the rocks and stuff. But so the poor hummingbird feeder, the hummers, it was just like, oh gosh, it was getting to be close to September, and the hummers, they need all that nasty sugar before they fly south. So I actually had to go and get the hummingbird feeder. And I mean, the bees were just like I said, it was like chaos. It was like rush hour, or it was like Star Wars, and so I just went in there, grabbed the hummingbird feeder. Sorry guys, I gotta take this away, and slowly took it away and just walked it around to the other side of the front of the house. And bees have a very short memory. So when I took it away, they didn't bother following me because they just thought the feeder was still under the tree. And then they never found it in the front yard. They kept going to the spot where it was in the backyard. And so to make them happy, I would put out a little dish of sugar water for them, because I know beekeepers will do that. They will feed them sugar water. So I did that for them, and that seemed to keep everybody happy and harmonious. you know. So that's a couple of my insect stories. So there you go. You know, it's just a belief, and it's getting busy and just doing it, and looking for the opportune moments to get involved and live harmoniously with nature. And I mean, the next video I'll get into more. I mean, I have so many of these stories, and all of you just get out there and get busy, and you know, pay attention, keep a notebook. I mean, write down, you know, no matter what it is you see. If a Hummer, you've never seen a Hummer before, and it comes flying by you, write it down. What direction was he flying? What color was he? And you know, write it down, and then go back later and look all of this up. Was it 3 Hummers? Was it 2? You know, so really, just it's just all about believing you can do it and paying attention. And like I said before, it's this internal putting. It's remember our when I said about our energies, even though we might be apart, there's no space between us. Our energy is always connecting with everything that's around us. So when you put it out, this heart energy out to the natural realms, they feel that. They have to, because they don't have all that mindless chatter in their head like we do. They are always a clear, open, receiving being, unlike us. We have to calm ourselves down. We have to settle ourselves. We have to quiet. We have to do all of that so we can get rid of the chatter to hear. I used to always say my most favorite time was sitting in the barn after feeding and just listening to the horses munch on hay. It was the most relaxing time. It just, everybody was happy and content, and I just sat there and listened to them. And we need to do that more often. Listen, be an open channel. Tell Gaia, bring these opportunities to me. I am open. I am ready. Don't let the darkness program you and telling you that you are the supreme being, and you know you can't connect, and this is stupid. You know, they're here to serve us. They are here to serve us, but not in the way that they think. They're here to help us. Like I said, they're always connected to Gaia. And so if you want to connect to Gaia, this is how you do it. You just start. And each day, more and more things will come your way. It's just like Frodo, my little poodle down there. Frodo, come here. Come here. I'll get him. Hold on. Come here. He loves to go with me and to feed the horses. And one morning, he's looking at me, and I wasn't really sure if I was going to bring him or not. And so I looked at him, and in my mind, I kept saying in my mind, you want to go for a ride? You want to go for a ride? You want to go for a ride? See? And I was thinking these words, and he just looked at me, and he didn't respond. So then what I did was I sent pictures to him of him following me out the door, me picking him up and putting him in the car, and he just exploded like he always does. I'm going to go for a ride. So, see, that's a perfect example. Pictures. Need to send pictures. And so maybe next video, I'll try to remember, and we'll go into the wingeds. I have a lot of stories about the wingeds, especially ravens. And I even have some videos of ravens and how I was able to call a raven out of the sky, which we all can do. So anyways, that's what I have to say today, guys. Love your animals with all your heart. And veganism is good. You know, I hate to say it, but that's where Gaia is. I think she's decided now that, you know, for us to be part of her new world, she's evolved to where she says, okay, humanity, you are ready now. And this huge, huge vegan movement was at Great Britain. In the last year, veganism grew 350%. That's ridiculous. So, you know, when you have this huge movement going and this huge environmentalist movement going, it's just humanity listening and hearing Gaia evolution. She is evolving now and saying, this is enough. This is how I want the new world to be. And this is how it's going to be. And if you want to be part of it, you need to join the movements. And no judgments here, people. You know, it took me a very long time to slowly become a vegan. And, you know, it's just, we're so much healthier. Our bodies are so much healthier. And so anyways, if some of you are not vegan, go on YouTube, listen to Dr. Bernard. Listen to Dr. Bernard's videos. He has so many of them about veganism. And he is such an eloquent and fun speaker. And he puts it in perspective that makes you go, really? I had no idea. So just explore those videos. Even, you know, if you're just thinking about it, you know, get some information and start stepping outside of that programming and that paradigm. And maybe some of you cannot become a vegan because of health reasons. I'm not sure, but I can't eat him. How could you eat him? I don't eat dogs. Well, there's people out there that do, isn't there? And that's another huge movement to stop the Asian people from eating the dogs and the cats. And that was a learning experience for them. And so anyways, we'll just talk to you guys later. Have a great week.